So hi, Clemence, and welcome to the event. We are looking forward to hearing your presentation. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. I wanted to start with a big thank you to InterNations and to Wissam. It's such a pleasure to be here with you. So thank you so much for having me as a guest speaker. It's a pleasure, and I'll be very, very excited to share with you tonight. So I'm going to be talking about how to thrive professionally as an expat, based on my experience as a career coach and the situations that I came across a lot with my clients. So starting maybe with a little bit of the background about me. I am myself an expat, an expert expat, I could say. I am originally from France. I currently live in the UK. I am trilingual. I speak also Spanish and French, obviously. And I started my career initially as a language teacher, which brought me to work in a lot of different countries. This is a picture of me in India, as you can see, working in India. And I've been working also in Colombia, in Spain, in the UK, and different places. So I completely understand and I relate really well to the challenges and the life of the expat, and I share that with the people I work with. And also this multicultural dimensions that we have to manage sometimes as we are a bit from everywhere, and we carry a lot in ourselves, in our experiences. Then after that, I became an entrepreneur. I co-founded a bilingual nursery in France, and I really loved the project, but I realized very quickly that I was more like coaching the parents and providing them information about how to thrive in France and how to manage their careers. And so I thought, all right, I need to take that step and get a certification as a coach, and that's now what I do. And I really like that because it's sort of natural, and it brings everything together, everything that I've done. So I practice the languages. I'm still an entrepreneur, and I love helping people bring to life their dream career. So it really, really works for me. It feels like the accomplishment as well of my professional journey. What I really like also in my work is that I wear different hats. Sometimes I'm more of a consultant. I help with CV, for example. I provide advice. Sometimes I'm more of a coach, and I help people find what they really want to do, for example. So that's more of a deep work. And I also like to offer meditation and visualization exercise. And I think it really helps support the whole process, and it helps also a lot with the stress management. As you can know, it's really high. It can be really high when we are expats and we relocate. It's been really high as well with COVID and your lockdown situation. So it's also an important thing to take care of ourselves. So I believe this combination is super powerful to help people and especially expats thrive professionally. So today I'm going to be talking around different areas. There'll be a lot to say, so I'm going to be trying to be brief, and we'll see where you're interested in more specifically with your questions. And I'm going to try to brush around a certain number of topics. And talking first about the preparation aspect, which I think is really key and sometimes forgotten. How to think out of the box, how to research the job market to be the most efficient, how to adapt to that job market, and how to network powerfully. So let's dive in and start putting on those stepping stones to work on our career journey and our career progression. It's so crucial to plan ahead, and it sounds very obvious to say, but actually only a few of the people that come to me really do it. And I come across a lot of people who tell me, for example, oh, I know I'm moving in next year to this new country. I know I have time, but I can't really get myself to do as much as I should be doing. There seems to be some blocks and helping with someone can really help get you unstuck. Because really the sooner the better. The sooner you start preparing, the better. It's so important. So you can start, for example, being very clear on your goals and build your long-term vision. that's also something that people are struggling to do, and it's very, very interesting, and it's very helping with your direction, even though of course it can change along the way. But I guess it's also because people sometimes don't allow themselves to be ambitious. So they come to me and they say, "Oh, I'm moving to this new country," or I will take any job that I can get. I just want to work. I just need to find work. So I help them to recognize their value, to recognize what they could do, and they can achieve so much more than sometimes they believe. So I really want to invite you to start opening up to a long-term vision, and maybe see if you can get some very high and very ambitious dreams and goals, and you can start visualizing those stepping stones so you can get there in the long run. And one of the great way of to think long term, I think, is also when students go and study abroad. So that's also some of my clients I get. They graduate, for example, in another country they've been studying, and they want to find work in that country. Even very young, I found that amazing, because it gives a lot of perspective, and it gives, you're starting your international career so early on, and it can only be an asset. And I found again that a lot of the graduates wait too long before they start getting ready, and they start working on their CV, and working on their goals, and working on what they want. And that's again something that I think that probably we're not invited to do early on enough. And having this reflection on ourselves can really help. So I would go even that far to say that it would even start even before your career. It's sort of a long-term perspective like that can be very helpful. Of course, you've got to be aware of all the administrative aspects, all the requirements around the visa. That can be very important to get the right plan for you, especially if you are non-European, for example, and you want to relocate to European countries. And usually what people find out sometimes is that you've got to apply for a work visa before you actually move to the country. Some people think, all right, I'll just get a tourist visa and then sort out, my work visa. And actually they have to go back home and apply so that they can actually get a work visa and start working in the country they want to relocate to. So these practical aspects are so crucial to have in mind. I'm thinking again, and that depends on the countries, but in France, for example, if you want to work on your own and have your own business, be self-employed, you need to have the self-employed visa, which enables you as well to be employed. So you could be having a part-time career, employed, and your business. But this would not be allowed if you get only an employment visa. So these are very important aspects to consider before you apply, so that you're not delayed, or maybe sometimes some of the projects cannot happen because of that. So they're really, really important. And again, it depends really a lot of everyone's situation. Brexit has been changing a lot of things for people, and I've got quite a few clients as well, sort of figuring out what's happening and what they need to know, because they've not been doing the research maybe previously and in advance. Languages aspects. I think that's really important, and we've all realized, I think, as being expat, that learning the language in advance, if you can be really, really helpful. So again, it depends where you're relocating, what you are targeting, and I'm thinking of Switzerland, and the regions and the different languages are there. So depending on which city you're targeting, it can be a different language there. And I also come across a lot of students, for example, graduates. They've come to France, done their master's degree, so they've stayed in France or another country, and they for 2 years, and they still don't know any French, and they still have a very beginner's level in French. And I think that's really a shame. Even if you get a basic level or an intermediate level, that will really open up a lot of opportunities rather than just keeping and not learning English. So I cannot recommend that enough as well. And there's this overall aspect in a way of learning and developing your skills, which sometimes as well some people tend to forget, because we keep on learning and developing through life, and that's also what makes our professional journeys so exciting, is all this skills development. I'm thinking about digital skills as well, for example. So it's an ongoing thing that we should all be considering as well. A little word about, yes, thinking out of the box. I think it's something that's really useful when it comes to expatriations, because as I said, some of my clients might arrive to me and say, "Oh, I'll take any job I can have, or maybe I'll start with teaching English because it's the only thing that I can do," for example, and they think maybe it's the only solution, and while maybe some creative thinking can really expand horizons there, and especially about career options. And I like how in this picture you can see the ideas like they start to fly out of that box, and in a way it's creativity is giving so much freedom, and working remotely has broadened so much options to everyone at the moment, and expands the possibilities. Portfolio careers also are becoming more common. So portfolio careers means that instead of doing one full-time job, you could be doing two part-time jobs, for example, or several part-time jobs, and also having your business or being freelance as well as having a part-time job. So this is being a little bit original, I guess, maybe comparing to past generations that they were used to having just maybe one job for so many years. Now, on average, apparently, people switch job every 3 to 4 years, and so I think we are also invited with this creativity to be agile and to reinvent ourselves consistently, and that makes it, I think, really exciting. And maybe considering as well the self-employed or freelance way. I think for an expat, it can make a lot of sense, especially for a family who's not sure where they're going to move next, and they're only staying a few months or a few years in one place. That can enable more stability for professionally for the person, and some people again don't allow themselves to be that ambitious, and they'll be like, "Oh no, I don't think it can be for me," while actually it can work great. I've got, for example, in mind a certified psychologist, an Australian certified psychologist who wanted to move to Europe, and a degree as a psychologist would not be recognized in most countries in Europe, so she can't work for a government organization, but she can start her own business as a private therapist, and that creates that broadens up, and that opens a lot of opportunities for her. And yes, so it is thinking out of the box for me in that case, and believing that you can make your dream come true is set to make about 50% of the job. So that means that if your mindset is grounded, is focused on that vision, you've done 50% of the work. Isn't that amazing? And I think that mindset applies whether you are employed or self-employed or a student or retired. It is more about becoming the actor of your professional life, rather than being passive and a victim. And that's something that we learn to do a lot as well as an expat. So again, a big invitation to be creative. Understanding the targeted markets. So I mentioned it briefly already, and it is crucial. So what it means is that you've got to be very clear in understanding the targeted sector in industry. How does it work? Who are the main actors and the main companies, maybe locally and nationally? So you've got to become a little bit of an expert there, and understanding how it works, how is the economy, and so that you can understand better the targeted job and the possible roles that you can be targeting. And another tip that also most people don't know is that it's actually a lot more efficient to check regularly on the company's website. So let's say international companies, maybe for expats who has multiple languages, for example. So checking regularly on their website, because they might not advertise on big job search platforms. So their job offers might not be on LinkedIn or on Indeed or other platforms, but they might have the offers on the company's website. And so they would invite people to go, this extra mile. So that means that you've got to make a lot of effort, really. If you want to go far in your career, there isn't another option. You've got to work hard. And that would enable you as well to do this market research, to understand your potential salary, to explore your options, and all that knowledge, that general knowledge that you acquire is going to be so beneficial for your job application, and especially in the interview, because you've done your research, you know what you're talking about, and it makes a big difference. Again, it goes back to this idea of being an actor and going this extra mile and becoming the expert of your career. You're a lot more in control. It takes time, it takes skills and persistence, but it's really, really worth it. Then we are arriving to adapt to the targeted market. So I really like this little picture to be a work chameleon. So you tailor this approach. Now you've done your research, you're able to speak their language as well, figuratively and literally if possible, and adapt your CV, adapt your cover letter, adapt your online presence, whether it's your portfolio online, your LinkedIn profile, maybe your blog, your elevator pitch, and the preparations for interview. There can be specific things depending on the country, on the culture, the role, the industry, that can influence your applications. Typically, I'm thinking of the question of the picture on the CV. So for example, for the UK, I would recommend not putting a picture on your CV. For most other countries in Europe, it's important to have a picture on your CV. And your documents must be personalized with each application. I know that it seems like a lot of work, but it's really how to make the biggest impact when you apply for a job. And I would go a little bit even further from that and actually say that your CV should look like you. We know that recruiters would spend on average about 8 to 10 seconds looking at a CV. So really, you've got to make sure, and it's a great exercise to do actually, just take your CV, look at it for 10 seconds, put it away. What do I remember from it? Wessam is actually saying 3 seconds. Yeah, I guess that would be probably the shortest amount that recruiters would look at the CV. So can you imagine only 3 seconds? That is very short. So you want to make sure that the recruiter's job is super easy. So he's got access to all this main information that you want him to be thrown in his face, straight away. So what do I need to be highlighted? And you've got to be very proud as well of your CV. Does your CV look like you? And usually most of my clients, when they arrive to me, they say, not really. And you can even just by looking at the picture, sometimes it happens. The picture is not very updated. It doesn't really look like them. I'm like, all right, then let's make this CV look like you, the you that's got value, the you, the special you. What makes you stand out? What should I get? What should I recruit you and not someone else? So there'll be a lot more to say on CV. I'll just say a little word about ATS, because some people still don't know a lot about this applicant tracking system. So there are these softwares in big companies that scan the CVs before they even come to the recruiter's attention. And these ATS would be looking for some keywords. So again, this is where the tailoring approach is very crucial, because if the robot, basically it's a robot, it's matching the job offer. So they would usually base the ATS, the keywords on the job offer. They might reject your CV just because you've used a different word. Let's say, for example, you've used bilingual in English and not professional English, and the job offer says professional English. So the ATS can't find that on your CV. Your CV is rejected. And the ATS, on average, reject about 75% of CVs. So that gives you an idea of how important it is to take into account this aspect. There's a little bit to know as well about the formatting, and to make sure that your CV is ATS proof, so that the CV, your ATS can read your CV easily. So there's a little bit of pieces about that, but I would say the main aspect, the main focus here, and my main advice would be on the keywords. So I hope that's clear. We'll see if you have any more questions about that maybe a bit later. So yes, I really like how this chameleon, arrives and is ready. The chameleon is ready to thrive in this new market, but it's also bringing with him its unique assets and international experience in his little briefcase. So it's you adapting to something, but you're not changing, of course, who you are, and you're bringing all your story with you as well. Coming to our final little aspect on networking. So I think InterNations is a great place to talk about networking, and networks and connecting with people. And for most of my clients are looking for jobs on job search platforms when they come to me. That's what they do. Of course, it's really important to do so, but it can be also frustrating. Competition is very fierce. Some job offers are fake. They already have someone for the post, but the company is legally required to advertise. That happens a lot. In Europe, the percentage is around 75% of job opportunities who are not advertised. So it's huge. So it means that the hidden job market represents 75% of jobs. Only 25% of jobs are advertised, are on that platform, on those platforms, the search engines. 15% of jobs are filled by headhunting. So this is where people are going to go and look for you, sourcing. So this is where as well, it's very important to have an online presence and to have that very polished. I'm thinking of your LinkedIn profile, for example, or other website on which you can have a profile. 15% of jobs are internal, so internal to the company, internal hires, and 45% of jobs are accessible through networking. And it is quite scary to realize that most people will by not networking, miss on 45% of job opportunities. So it is fundamental today to have a networking strategy. It is really the best way to find work. And I help my clients to implement the strategy, the networking strategy that is going to work for them. Thankfully, it happens a lot online at the moment, which is very, very helpful. It's helped a lot to be able to go online. Everyone is saving time, so it's really great. And you can also, it's a possibility to connect to people that maybe you would not have been able to meet face to face. I like to tell my client that networking is actually meeting people and nurturing connections, because most of the clients I work with are initially scared by networking, or they would consider, or they have memories of boring events. They go at night and they feel uncomfortable. But with your experience in InterNations, of course, you know the benefits of networking already, and our InterNations is an amazing place and platform to network. So my little piece of advice there on networking, and again there will be so much more to say, so I'm trying to be brief again, would be to network one-to-one. Because attending events in groups, of course, is really great and really a good starting point, I would say. A good starting point, and then later on a good way to nurture those relationships, to keep the connections. But real networking, when it comes to career, happens one-to-one. So technically, basically at the moment, what happens is offering a 20-minute virtual coffee meeting on Zoom, asking your peers, asking people that do similar jobs to you, or reaching out to recruiters or HR services, and getting people one-to-one. What it changes rather than just connecting on LinkedIn, for example, or just meeting in a group meeting, is that then people will really remember you, and they really get this connection to you. You're not staying only a picture on LinkedIn or a profile, and that would lead to opportunities. The person might offer to pass on your CV or refer you to talk to other people in her or his network. So that is really sometimes the aspect of networking that could be missing in some people's networking strategy. They come to me and they say, oh yeah, I've been networking, but it didn't get me anywhere. And when we look into things that we in detail, we're like, okay, let's try that. And it's absolutely amazing how very quickly it gets result, it gets the right information, it gets clarity on what they want to do as well, just by this one-to-one networking. And then I would add as well that it's important to keep in touch, because some people are really good as well in collecting new contacts and not really keeping in touch and not really nurturing these relationships, because building relationships, professional relationships in the long term really helps with those long-term plans and those stepping stones that we've mentioned before. So to summarize all that, I really like how emotional intelligence summarize it, because emotional intelligence talks about self-awareness. So it starts with you and this clarity on what you want to do and who you are, what are your skills. Then it goes to self-management. So how are you going to do that? And what do you need to get there? Then the social awareness, so we mentioned that in knowing, understanding your environment, understanding the job market. And then you've got the relationship management, which would be interacting with people, getting out there and everything that's connected to that. But I really like how it starts with you. And I wanted to share to you to finish this, to share with you to finish this quote by Henry G.M. Nowen. The farther the outward journey takes you, the deeper the inward journey must be. And I think it resonates a lot with us as expats, because we go quite far away. we travel miles, and it's an amazing opportunity to go inwards and to work on ourselves on the personal level, on the professional level, on skills level. And it's a big development, isn't it? It's a big exploration and journey, and it takes us far beyond what we can imagine. So that was some of the content that I could be sharing with you as a broad introduction on how to thrive as an expat. You've got my contact details out there, so don't hesitate to reach me by email, contact@coachclem.com. You've got my website, LinkedIn profile, and Facebook professional page as well. I'm going to drop in the chat box a link to my Calendly account, because I always offer a free discovery session. So if anyone would be interested in having a little chat with no obligation, it will be my pleasure. And thank you again for coming. Thank you for your attention. And I will open up for questions now when we are ready.